We are back for another episode of the Off the Court podcast. Took a week off. I honestly don't know why, but we're back and with one of the most underrated players, in my opinion, in the state. A guy a lot of people should know about. He comes from Eduprize. He is KJ Johnson. Appreciate you coming on, man. How you doing today?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing good, man.
Good, good. It's hot, and I don't know if you saw it last night. That storm was wild.
Oh man, especially driving home from practice is crazy.
I was at my girlfriend's house. We're watching Seinfeld, and all of a sudden we hear like giant thunder. We look outside, and it's just torrential downpour.
Yeah, no, that
Uh,
was
it's pretty wild. Um, let's get right into it, though. Like I said, you play at Eduprize, which is kind of one of the smaller prep schools. Would you
mhm.
say? I know, like
Yeah.
the head honchos, of course, Compass. You got Hillcrest, Bella Vista, Skyline. You guys, Dream City. How do you feel though? You have been how you played last year with the rest of the guys on Eduprize.
Um, I say I feel like for me coming into like the new environment, I think I did, substantially well, but there's always stuff I could improve on.
Was that your first year there, or
Yeah.
okay? So where did you come from again before you
So
were at Eduprize?
before I went to Eduprize, I came from Bella Vista.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what then got you to decide why Eduprize was the best? I had um another guy on the other week, and he was just kind of telling me it's very weird, and me and him were even texting about it. It's very political. It seems like in these prep realms and coaches and stuff. But what was your kind of the main decisions around going from Bella Vista to Eduprize?
I think my main decision was ultimately just what I felt was best going to benefit me in the long haul
Mm,
because I felt where I was at with Bella Vista, I didn't really get to excel myself at like a basketball standpoint. So I knew, making a switch and going to Eduprize, it would help me become not only just a better man, but a better on court player too.
mm. What things did you focus on most throughout the year, statistically, growth wise, to help your game kind of went to the next level? Like I said, I saw you guys play before we started recording. I saw y'all play St. Mary's in
Mhm.
that GC3. Your guys' team was loaded. It seemed extremely athletic. I know AJ is with you, who is also your Unity teammate, who we'll get into in a bit. But what things did you focus on most throughout the year to make sure your game was continuing to grow and you become a better player?
One thing I really like wanted to focus on was, communication because
Mm,
you can't go like you got to have a full team with you to go to battle. And one thing that a lot of people don't really have nowadays is good on court communication. So one thing I wanted to work on going in there was how can I be a better leader vocally? Get telling you hey like you gotta do this way without really like getting on you to the point where you just want to quit basketball.
yeah, absolutely. What has the fall league been like? I'm going out there tonight to watch a couple of games. It's kind of very interesting. I know you
Yeah,
guys played in it, and then you have like I know Millennium is in it,
yeah.
Higley's in it, and then a lot of the other prep academies. What is the kind of the feels? What's the vibes out there? Is there any college scouts out there? What's kind of like
So
the overall feel for you?
with college scouts, I don't know personally if there is college scouts. I really try not like I don't really pay too much attention who's really in the crowd, but like
Right.
for like who was on the court though, they gave us the dogs out the gate. They gave us Phoenix Prep. They gave us both Compass teams, Black and National. So I think we didn't get the results we were looking for, but it's a really good experience and it's just a great opportunity because you're playing kids who you look on social media and they're always there.
Right.
Especially playing with the Compass team, you're gonna have to force yourself to bring your best foot forward. So I think, overall, and regardless of what the results do, I think it's a great opportunity, and I feel like I'm excelling at that point. It's getting my confidence up, and it's allowing me just to see where my game would stand up when I go to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to get more kind of into the prep scene since you played AIA and then Bella
Yeah,
Vista and then Eduprize. It feels to me sometimes outside of Compass because they're in the NIBC,
that.
they're a little bit more, it seems like structured. I've heard stories from a lot of people. It's like with some of our prep teams, it's like we don't know when we're playing next, and all of a sudden we got a game and we got to get to in 45 minutes. What has been your experience though, being in the prep side of it compared to what kind of you remember, or maybe even some stuff you remember from other people in the AIA before they went to prep?
So, coming from me, coming from AIA school, small AIA school, because I came from Shadow Mountain. So, you
Okay,
know,
yeah.
everybody knows about, the Snatch Bros and how their legacy kind of had how it was big in Arizona. So, for me, going in there my first 2 years of high school, it was crazy because at my sophomore year we had the COVID year, so you didn't like that was been like my first actual year on varsity, so I didn't really get to experience it all
Mm,
in its entirety because you had restricted games, restricted times, and then you
yeah.
had the max, so it was hard. But making the jump from that to prep, it showed it's a crazy difference.
Hmm.
Like you said, like it's not as organized as AAA. I will say that for sure. It's not as organized, but like competition wise, it's unbelievable. You one day you feel like you're gonna go up against like the normal AA schools of six
Right.
three, 6'4", and all of a sudden you go to prep and you playing 7 feet freaking Africans who are strong and people who are dunking from the free throw line. And so the jump for me it was difficult, especially when I first transferred to Bella Vista because I was really getting the feel of it and I it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough. But I think as I got like more in tune with it, it became so much easier, so much easier, and then it helps you build character for sure.
Mm. What type of things did it do to your character then, especially going probably I want to focus on that first rough season with Bella Vista.
Hmm.
What did that do to your character? What were some lessons you learned from coaches, family, people that were kind of in your inner circle trying to lift you up in those hard times?
Yeah. So one of the lessons I learned for a fact is to stop harping on yourself. Like stop trying to play perfect because going into the prep scene, you're gonna make so many mistakes.
Yeah,
You're gonna be on highlight reels, regardless of if you like it or not. You're gonna accidentally hit yourself under the rim and get dunked on a couple times, or
right.
you gonna freaking guard some dude. He's gonna make you slip. So I think with that, you just have to be patient for sure. Something that I learned too. Patience is it's gonna be heavy when it comes to prep, and also you just gotta be relaxed and calm. Like
Mm,
don't harp on little things because the little things they gonna keep with you, and then the prep teams that you play against, they're gonna let you know. Like you gonna get talked, you gonna get trash talked, you gonna get booed from fans, you gonna get yelled at by parents. So I
yeah.
think if you just stay composed, stay relaxed, and just kind of let the game flow, it's something. And it also matures you because then, me being the younger classman going up against the older classmen who are like, who are going to college, it's you pick up a thing or two.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk to recruiting and poaching players from other schools seems to be a very big thing that's happening.
Yeah.
And I do have to say, I am extremely impressed with the amount of talent these coaches and these programs are getting to come to Arizona. Because it's not even just in Arizona anymore. These guys are coming from all
Oh,
over.
yeah.
Like I know Skyline because I'm gonna go watch them. I think they're playing tonight. They
Hmm.
got I got one of my boys is from Chicago. He's like, this kid's from my neighborhood back home, and he's out here now. I'm like, how does that
Right.
even happen? Like it used to be like you're saying with AAA. When I didn't get to play high school basketball because I wasn't good enough, so that's why I turned to media. But my high school days, it was like Josh Green at Mountain Ridge. It was the house. It was Jalen House and Javon at Shadow, and Corona Del Sol was still on top with Bagley for a year. It was all these different things,
Right.
and then now I know prep has kind of exploded. What has it been, especially with you having friends that might have moved from prep team to prep team, AAA to prep, stuff like that? Are the stories you hear sometimes pretty interesting from your
Yeah.
friends getting calls from coaches and stuff asking if they want to
Yeah.
come here?
Yeah. Like one of my friends
You don't
actually
need to say names. You don't need to
yeah,
rat anybody out.
well, one of my friends actually, it's crazy because like one week he was at one school and then he's on Marion, we're hanging out, we're actually hooping, and he gets another call from a top team, like a top school in another state, and it's like it's so crazy because then it's so wild because how like they can convince you.
Mm,
That's the big thing. Like they know what they're talking about.
yeah.
They know how to tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at EYB when I was at the EYBL event here when it was in Phoenix. I
Mm.
was like, yeah, shocker. I'm like, I see John Calipari, the guy from Duke, everyone. But then I'm like, oh, there's Prolific Prep, there's
Right.
Montverde,
Right.
there's SoCal Academy, there's Eduprize, there's Bella Vista. I'm like, and I
Yeah.
asked my friend that I was with, I'm like, do these guys come here to kind of poach people to transfer? They're like, yeah, it happens way more than
Yeah.
you think. So,
Yeah.
which
It's crazy.
I want to get in the club scene now too. You play for D1 New Mexico, or you did,
Mhm.
but you also got the opportunity to play on AZ Unity, at least for their Peach Jam time. That's when I saw you were with them again. How did that opportunity come about? And actually, let's just focus on that for a second. How did the opportunity with Unity come about to be able to play on what a lot of people would say is the biggest stage in high school basketball?
Right. So the opportunity came about was I have my friend Marcus over there. Me and him were talking, and because me and him were talking for a while, potentially trying to play together again. Because we played on a little AAU team called Firestorm, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I ended up leaving to go to D1 New Mexico because stuff over there didn't really work out, and he had eventually left Firestorm, went to Unity, and so this coming year, no, they already had played 2 sessions. They played Atlanta and obviously Phoenix.
Yeah.
And he had brought the opportunity to me. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna ask my coach if he could have you come try out with us." Like, all right, cool. Like we can like that. That'd be a good opportunity. But then at the same time, my high school coach, Coach Ashton, AJ plays for the team, and I guess the coach had asked Coach Ashton if there's anybody you have or know in mind that basically is like a dog.
Mm.
Like we don't necessarily need a scorer. We don't necessarily need someone who's gonna go for 30. Like we just need an all around dog, like a juggernaut. Like who's gonna go out there and guard the best player? Who's gonna try to get some rebounds, some assists, some steals? But just an energy type of dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I went over to his house and he told me about it. And he didn't tell me like, hey, I need no, he said, be there this day, this time at this school. I was like, for what? He goes, you said just be there. I was like, okay, all right. Then he tells me later on the night, you got Unity. It's a little tryout, but it's not really a tryout because we know you're gonna do good.
Mm.
So when we later that day, later that week actually had the little tryout, ended up getting a text from Marcus talking about from his coach. Yeah, he's on the team. Yeah, he's on the team. So I think after all that, I just gotta thank both Marcus and Coach Ashton. And then obviously the coaches, Coach Boswell, Coach Letcher, Coach Rob, J Rob, all of them over there at Unity, it was a great opportunity for sure.
Yeah, I was able to watch them play against Team CP3 when
Hmm.
they were when they played at Phoenix. And I didn't really know a lot of the guys. I knew AJ,
Hmm.
Yovan, I think is how
Hmm.
you say his name.
Yeah,
That was really about it. I didn't know much of the other guys, but I'm just like, they were just getting outworked on the rebounding side. They were getting outworked defensively. And of
yeah,
course, to my knowledge, I didn't know then. Team CP3 had like 2 5 stars. One was
yeah,
coming
yeah,
off the bench,
man,
and another one is committed to Wake Forest. I'm like, that might have not been the best team to judge a team that probably was just put together like
right.
a handful of weeks before. But my second question for this, being able to be with them for maybe those last couple of sessions, I know Peach Jam for sure. What was the experience for you like? Did that open any doors? What was kind of just your overall what was your overall thoughts after you got back from those events?
So the first event that I ended up going to was Dallas, and mind you, that was the one right after Phoenix, and we went, I think, like 0-4.
Mm,
But it's like when you first walked into the stage, it's so different from all these other circuits. Like you said, it's the hardest level of high school basketball there is. Like first game we played, we went up against a 5 star, Boogie Flynn. You know,
mm,
and it's like the next game right after we're playing another 5 star. So I think the experience for all around, bro. Like people say, don't get me wrong, it's hard. It's
yeah.
hard, but one thing is also is it's fun. It's like it's fun because you're going up against people who have the opportunity that you have. So they're putting you and you're putting yourself in an opportunity.
Mm,
And it's fun. It's fun. It's breathtaking too. It's like it's so surreal, and it's gonna like it allowed me personally like my confidence is through another level. Like I walk into a gym now and I just feel like I got that little like swagger to me because I just got done battling against Dylan Harper, Trey Johnson, all of them. So now coming up into like the littler stages, it definitely shows.
you guys played against Elliott, right?
Yeah,
I saw the highlights of that game and I was just like, that team was just so hard. It seemed like on all different levels because For me, high school wise, Elliot's the closest thing to CP3. I feel like we
Right.
got in this next generation with how he's able to decipher the ball and
Hmm.
create for others. Um, was there anything I saw you got on Sports Center next
Yeah.
with AJ dishing you that ball? Being at Peach Jam, like you're saying, it's crazy fun, the competition at the highest level. Did that help your recruitment at all?
Yeah.
Did it get you those doors open that you probably didn't
Yeah.
think were ever going to
Yeah.
be opened?
Yeah. So after we played the Team United, I can't my phone was just and it was always the same thing, keep going.
Mm,
Like don't let the door close in now because you got a little bit of shine. Like Sports Center, you know that was a surreal moment. Like going back to the hotel and just seeing, oh, you got tagged on Sports Center. Oh shoot, that's me. So I think that was like the crazy part. And then after all the when the colleges started coming and contacting me, um, no, I didn't. I like you asked me, 4 6 months earlier that hey, like you gonna have a huge opportunity and a huge chance to go to college, and I would have looked at you and laughed. I would have
yeah.
looked at you and laughed and said you are lying. But now it's crazy what it did for me, and I'm beyond thankful.
Yeah, absolutely. You sent me your stats, which I appreciate because it's hard to find prep stats
Right?
nowadays, besides like having to purchase those things. So,
Yeah.
um, last year, 15 and point 8, we'll call it 16, 2.8 assists, we'll call it three rebounds to steal per game. Right now, how many games have you guys played so far? I don't really know how the prep season works. So,
Yeah. So right now, the only games we like have officially played are the fall league
the
games.
fall league. Okay, cool. 19 a game, 7.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.4 steals. As of right now, do you see the difference in your game from
Yeah.
like you're saying 6 months ago to now? What in your eyes have you been like, oh, I now am able to do this? Because you talked about the confidence you play with, which we'll get into too. But what are the differences in your game you see have changed from last season to now in your final season?
I think just the overall just willingness to like get the job done. Like just the overall
Mm,
like fire that I have. Like one thing I did slack last year was the ability to really put the ball in the net. Like one thing I harp on still to this day is the Final Four game that we had last year for states, and you see the stat sheet, AJ 40 points, and then you see me right under there with only 15. I'm like, if I just had that confidence just to keep going and like not necessarily get shy, nervous, we would have like I would be sitting over here with a ring. So
mm,
I think for me, just overall, just seeing the basketball from the grand scheme, like seeing what I could do here, what works and what doesn't work. And then another thing I really say now my jump shot is like I feel confident to shoot the ball, especially after EYBL, you shoot from the NBA line. Now you come back to the high school 3 point, it's like it's just going in. It's just going in. So yeah, I think for that for sure. And then obviously now the defense part too.
mm.
Like one thing me and my dad have always harped on is defense. Like defense gonna get the job done. If you can have all the offense in the world, but no college don't want someone who can't play defense.
Right.
So now I really feel like I'm back in my like that Shadow Mountain type element with defense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that stuck out to me too, being able to watch the film I could on you. But to me, you are one of the most underrated players in the league. I think it's hard to get caught up in the prep landscape because with so many recruits, it's the names right now take everything, at least at the beginning of the season. But like you were
Right.
saying, how you played at in the EYBL with that defense, with that aggressiveness, with the dog mentality. But yeah, the way you play, what I believe is the way guards should play, at least at this level right now, with your toughness on defense, and your ways to create shots for yourself. And I know you can get to the hoop whenever you feel like it seems like with your speed too. If coaches, people that follow the podcast, followers on like on Instagram and stuff are finding out about you for the first time right now, how would you describe how you play the game of basketball?
Um, I would describe myself, and I get asked this a lot from my dad. One thing I would describe myself is a is a two-way pass through point.
Mm,
Like one thing my dad always hyped on me on was, you got to get everybody else involved. You got to like even if they missing shots, you still got to give them a chance to score because they make one or two. Now defenders got to guard him, and then you start going, you start rolling. That's two already. You get a third, you get a fourth. it's over. So
Absolutely.
one thing I usually say is uh, definitely a pass first type of player, but that's not disregarding my ability to score. And then obviously, the defense. Defense is where the defense is my what I call my bread and butter. Like I I love playing defense because it's like my dad always told me shut the best player down, shut the team down. So
Mm.
that's something that I always kind of kept in the back of my head. So yeah, definitely a two-way pass first player.
Yeah, I love that. Shut the best player down, shut the whole team down. Because it is true, especially at high
Right.
school.
Right.
If you're playing a smaller AIA team, a like smaller prep school team, when you shut there's point guard who's the one that creates for everything because no one else can create their shots. They just have athleticism. That's going to
Right.
destroy everything. And
Oh yeah.
I think that's something I've at least realized watching a lot of AIA. That's kind of where I'm trying to stick to and like helping
Mhm.
kids out, but also kids like you. That's the perfect answer because a lot of kids will come on here and just say like, "Oh, I'm a dog. I'll do everything,"
Right.
and that's great. But if you're able to be a two-way player that loves to play defense, that's what's going to stick out to coaches.
Right.
Absolutely. Who are some people though you see in yourself? Who are some guys you watch on film? I could say Colin Sexton because it seems like loves to play defense too.
Yeah.
Is there anybody you tend to watch film on a lot? Anybody you
So
try to pick up your skills?
people I try to really like play myself to as obviously like you said, Colin Sexton, especially watching him in high school, he was an absolute animal. Um, you have like you have like the John Morants and here and there, but I think for me, the three players that really stick out to me is definitely like besides like Jalen House and all of them, I say Colin Sexton for sure. I say prime John Wall because he was
Mm,
an dog. And then I definitely have to say prime Russell Westbrook. Just
okay.
their ability to kind of move up the floor. Westbrook. Being able to dish the ball, get a rebound, dot it up. That's two steps. That's a rebound and assist. You get a steal, then you get points. All of a sudden, you got a triple double. So,
Hmm.
I with those players, I really kind of implement my game, especially since I was younger to like now.
Those are all explosive guards that are two-way players. I mean,
Mhm.
people shit on Russ because he's a stat chaser, at least in his prime.
Right.
He was, per se, with how he just would push his centers out of the way and grab the rebound for himself. Um,
Mhm.
what are some things you're trying to grow in your final year to make you a solidified player in this state?
One thing I'm trying to really go into is just, like I said, to be a leader. Just to let it all out. It's my last year, and I want to go out with a bang. And I know, I can't go out with a bang if I don't keep my teammates, high with me. So one thing I really want to do is, be a leader and just to be a better effective communicator. And I think if I could do that on top of, keeping up with the basketball skills, I think I could get the job done.
Yeah, I love that answer. One of my last questions for you before we get into kind of the last fun ones. You and AJ, I mean, if y'all were an AA backcourt, you might be the best backcourt in the state.
Yeah.
I really think so. I haven't had him on. I really want to have him on too because I love how he plays. What has it been like playing with another guard that has, it seems like the same mindset as you, but a really complementary skill set too?
But it's been amazing, playing with AJ. Uh, you take both of us in. Like I think with me, I play more emotional. Like I play more like the energy. Like I'm fired up.
I noticed
I'm
that when you were
yeah,
talking mess to Kenny in that
yeah,
same series
yeah.
game.
I'm talking. I'm getting hype. And I think with AJ, he just evens it out. Like he's so calm, so relaxed,
Yeah.
and like especially coming off the circuit now this year. You look at us, it's like who you gonna stop? Because you get AJ going, he gonna light you up all game. He gonna put you on a highlight reel. Now it's gonna be crazy. And then so you try to stop him, then here I come. So I think us two having each other, it's definitely been a great thing. Like I love AJ. Like that's someone I call family because he was with me last year when I kind of was starting to feel up, like see if I really wanted to take it basketball serious as
Mm.
much as I do. And AJ was right there to every step of the way. From border league to to now EYBL to now this year. So I think playing with him, it's amazing. And like you said, even if we were in AIA, but I still feel like we are one of the best backcourts in the state. Like no one could do what we could do, especially if we're both getting going. Oh, it's lights out. It's over.
I mean, I don't disagree with you at all. I got to look at all the backcourts, but you guys just you stick out amongst the crowd already. I don't know much of Skylines, like Compass, all those guys. That's why I'm going out there tonight. Before I get into my last two questions that are kind of more fun, who are some other guys that are on Eduprize? I know there was another one that played with y'all last year.
Yeah.
Lanky, like 6'6" kid.
Jakai? Yeah.
Jakai, yeah. I don't know where he ended up. I don't know if he's still with y'all. Is there anybody else though on Eduprize that people should look out for with already you and AJ?
Yeah. Just me being me, I say the whole team. Like I can go on and on. You have my boy Dre, who's like he's kind of like a Jakai, 6'7", 6'8", lengthy. Um, he's just a freak of nature. Like he'll catch you slipping, and then now to the point where now he can shoot too. So you can catch you at the rim, you could get punched on real quick, you can get a tray ball. But mainly I would say is my boy Nate for sure. Nate Pratt. Nate is so underrated. He's 6'8", but he's like he could do it all. He could shoot, he could dunk on you, he could dribble. That's something that a lot of big men, that's what they take away is, big men who could dribble.
Mm.
I definitely say Nate and Andre for sure.
Well, who are you most looking forward to playing against? I know you might not know your like full schedule and where y'all are going to be, but is there any specific teams you guys are excited to go up against?
Um, I mean, besides like Compass and all of them, I really don't know too much of who we play, but I'm just excited to who we play regardless. Like I'm just excited, and especially now the fact that we're going to be in a couple little tournaments out here. I'm just excited to be put on a bigger stage, and I can't wait to show out.
Well, KJ, I appreciate you hopping on the podcast with us. How we end every show, and I think it's how we've ended honestly every show of it, and this will be continue to be it. Favorite on-court shoe. What was it in the summer? I know EYBL 17 years get treated pretty nicely with some nice care
Yeah.
packages. And I don't know what y'all are like supposed to wear with Eduprize, or if you have like freedom to just wear whatever. What was the go-to shoe in the summer, and what's been kind of the go-to shoe for you so far?
So I think in the summer it was definitely Kobe's. Definitely Kobe's. I would wear my friends all the time, and it just feel my man. They just are comfortable. I think now my top two are KD's for sure. KD are my number one all time. Number one all time. Kobe's, and then I gotta go with the Jaws. I gotta go with the Jaws. I got the two rib
Interesting.
right UFBO ones, and I got another pair in the closet. So yeah, those are my top three for sure.
What model of KD's is your favorite? Because I had the KD 6 Christmas, and that was like my goat shoe. And then I got the Kobe 9 What Does. And I'm like, those are like my two goat shoes. I know though, KD 3s are getting retroed. They're in a couple of stores in Phoenix. But what's the go-to shoe KD wise for you?
That's a hard one. That is a hard one. Dang. Um, I definitely say KD sixes. KD
Okay.
sixes, KD sixes, or like you said, the KD three for sure.
Do you have a favorite color of the 6? Because there's
I
so
don't.
many.
I don't. I don't. Like that's one thing I can never really get my mind onto. Is just a favorite color. I just can't.
Well, KJ, I appreciate you hopping on the podcast with us. Anything to shout out before we get out of here?
And just be on the lookout for us, man. Just be on the lookout. That's all I gotta say.
Well, you heard it here from him. This is KJ Johnson. And yeah, follow us on all platforms. Off the court.pod, which I'm still trying to buy off just off the court. I think it'd be way sicker.
Yeah.
Make sure to follow us on TikTok, same thing. YouTube, same thing. And then Twitter is Parker SNS. So follow us on all platforms for all updates and where I'm going to be this upcoming season. So thank you to KJ Johnson again. This has been another episode of Off the Court Podcast.